For a long time, I've been meaning to come to this place, an island that's been everyone's lips, celebrated for its natural wonder and sublime landscapes. But despite of all the praises that everyone has been heaping on this destination, I wanted to seek it out for myself and forge my own connection to this place, to create my own memory and find out what this island means to me. And it turns out, beyond all the travels I've done in my life so far, here's a place that reminded me that no matter what life has thrown my way, I've made it here. And when is a better time to visit, explore, and celebrate this one island that fueled imaginations, fever dreams, and discoveries throughout centuries? This one island that's often considered magnificent and magical, Madeira. Waking up every single day in this island felt like a new possibility, and our stay here allowed us to encounter the countless ways we can fully embrace and appreciate what Madeira has to offer to anyone visiting here. While you're in downtown, one of the best things to do in Funchal is to go for a walking tour, and not just any walking tour, but one that essentially combines history, gastronomy, and wine. So we partnered with a local tour company, Wine Tours Madeira, as they provide us with their savvy insight in the flavors of this island. After all, as they expertly put, food and wine are the heart and soul of Madeira. We met our guide Roberto, a local connoisseur of all things Madeira, and he guided us around the historical centre with such deft knowledge, walking us through avenues, streets and squares, telling us the fascinating story of Funchal and explaining the importance of food and wine in the island. And since wine is the heart of Madeira's history, we headed to Blandy's Wine Lodge, one of the most famous producers of Madeira wine, a family business that boasts over 2 centuries of wine production. This wine lodge is one of the oldest in Madeira and has been beautifully preserved, restored and updated with great facilities, with tasting rooms that are both traditional and stylishly modern. We tasted 2 wines, the Mamsi and Seixal, and it made for a great start to this wine and gastronomy tour. There's a great diversity of food in Madeira, and this tour introduced us to the variety of gastronomy on offer in this island. Our first food stop was Wow Cacao, where chocolates are handmade and flavors are sourced locally from local farmers. We tasted 2 chocolates, laced with exotic fruits, namely pitanga or Suriname cherry, and the other was Amarillo, both extremely delicious pieces of chocolate heaven. Next stop is Fábrica Santo Antonio, Madeira's first ever biscuit and cookie factory, and has been making artisanal sweets for over 130 years. The shop and factory are in the same building, and the service counter are really nicely preserved. We tasted a range of their wonderful cookies, hazelnut, passion fruit, and gingerbread, and also tasted the famous bolo de mel, or honey cake, Madeira's oldest cake, made not of actual honey, but sugarcane molasses from this island. There's plenty to experience in Funchal, and walking along the streets is one of them. You walk past fruit stands, where you get acquainted with the fruit produce of this island. Soon we were guided around Praça do Município, or the Municipal Square, learning about the historic buildings around us, such as the Church of São João Evangelista, or the College Church of the Jesuits, the Museum of Sacred Art, and the Municipal Hall itself. Nearby, we stopped at Latada do Doutor, this restaurant with a pleasant terrace at the back, with grapevines growing in latadas, or trellises. Here we tasted iconic Madeiran flatbread, bolo de caco, with stewed pork tenderloin, washed down with a lager, a locally produced beer called Coral, making this a refreshing stop in our walking tour. Before we headed to the next food tasting, we stopped by at Sé de Funchal, or the City Cathedral, to admire the most emblematic religious site in Madeira, as well as appreciating its very mixed heritage of architecture throughout the centuries. Then it was time to continue our gastronomy tour. We proceeded to O Calhau, this cafe restaurant with a wonderful terrace behind the cathedral, where we all grabbed a bite, an amuse-bouche of local cheese, avocado and passion fruit, and a taste of peixe espada, a swordfish from this island, paired with a chilled Madeiran white wine. They say you haven't really been in Madeira if you haven't had the traditional poncha drink, so we stopped by at Rei de Poncha and had the famous sugarcane rum mixed with freshly squeezed orange juice to invigorate ourselves from the summer heat. The stiff yet lively drink will surely invigorate you, but personally I prefer it with ice cubes to make it cool and chilled as you swig it down your throat. Cheers. After this refreshing pick-me-up, we went to one of my favorite parts of the tour, a visit to Mercado dos Lavradores, Funchal's old city market. A bustling, dazzling place of colors and scents from vegetables, fruits and spices. There's also a meat and fish market downstairs, where you'll see the well-known swordfish. This market makes for a real showcase for Madeira's flavors and its richness in its regional products, such as the range of exotic and tropical fruits on offer here, and that's what we came here to taste, as this tour took us to examine, explore and even discover all these various fruits from the island. Before we headed to our last stop, Roberto took us to Funchal downtown's oldest street, Rua de Santa Maria, with some buildings that date back to the 15th century, and also showed us the popular Portas Pintadas, with the numerous painted doors along the street. Then for our final tasting, we headed to a terrace restaurant with a view of Funchal, where you can see the cable car soaring into the mountains. Here we tasted marinated tuna belly with cube polenta, wrapping up our gastronomy tour. This was a really fun and comprehensive way of getting to know Funchal through our taste buds, sampling some of Madeira's dishes, drinks, wines and flavors. And on top of that, learn more about the local culture, history and life in this unique city and island. Since we're at the theme of gastronomy, sometime during our stay in Madeira, we plunged further into the cuisine of this place and went to Akua, this no-frills restaurant tucked in the historic centre of Funchal, one of Chef Julio Pereira's restaurants here, with Akua in particular, featuring a spectacular, honest-to-goodness fusion of flavours from the sea and the ingredients from this island. And nothing says we're serious about food than an open kitchen and a bar counter seating, where we place ourselves front row for the action. Let me say this. Every single thing that touched my tongue in this restaurant is delicious. From the Japanese-inspired tuna tartare in cones, the amazing trout spirulina and passion fruit, fried codfish tacos, and undoubtedly the star of the show, the magnificent creamy carabineros seafood rice with its huge scarlet prawns, with our chef Liliana helping us tackle with aplomb. The flavors here are burstingly good. This dish just makes you want to devour more. This is perhaps the best seafood rice I've tasted in the entire Portugal, including the island, and it would surely send you to gastronomy heaven, accompanied with excellent Madeira wine. We finished our meal here with a stunning signature white chocolate dessert, teeming with black olives and passion fruit, concluding what is a truly unforgettable dinner here in Funchal. So don't forget this restaurant, Akua, as this place will take your taste buds on a gastronomic spin, landing you on your feet and stomach fully satisfied. After this excursion to gastronomy, it was then time to venture further and dive deep into the world of wine. For lovers of wine, or frankly anyone who's interested in exploring the wine culture of Madeira, you've come to the right island. Wine is deeply woven into the fabric of Madeira's history, with its viticulture and winemaking that date all the way back to the Portuguese colonization in 15th century, and later succeeding sugarcane in the late 17th century as the island's most powerful trade export. Since then, Madeira wine, this robust yet delicate fortified wine, is world-renowned, well-preserved, and favored through long sea voyages, so highly sought after that the American Declaration of Independence in 1776, read by President George Washington, was toasted with it, and also tales of the wine somehow graced the pages of William Shakespeare. During our stay in the island, we wanted to go for an in-depth experience of wine in Madeira, and we were very fortunate to be taken on a full-day wine tour around the island by none other than Madeira Wine Tours, giving us an enjoyable and unparalleled perspective of the wine culture here. On the day of our tour, we met Sofia, the storyteller who prides herself as a homegrown Madeirense, a true storyteller with such a great gift of stories, and a real expert and navigator into the heart and soul of this island. First in the wine tour itinerary is a visit at Blandy's wine lodge in Funchal, and this time we have the chance to really get a closer look, taste and feel of Blandy's immense significance on the island, as we were guided through the fully preserved lodge, including the old wine cellars, where wine barrels are kept in a high ground, as opposed to below ground, with favourable warmer temperatures help achieve the style of Madeira wine. Here we learned about the grape varietals, with Tinta Negra being the predominant red grape, and the main white grapes, Verdelho, Seixal, Boal and Malvasia. It's also important to note that Blandys have been in the wine production for over 2 centuries, ever since the wine merchant John Blandy arrived in Madeira in 1808. The company's story, tenacity and evolution through the ages, including the formation of the Madeira Wine Association and their place in the Madeira wine trade, are all beautifully elaborated in their own dedicated museum, with the 6th and 7th generation of family currently running and championing Blandys as one of Madeira's leading wine brands. We proceeded to the vintage wine cellar, where we tasted 2 types of Madeira wines. First is the 2016 single harvest of Malmsey, sweet, rich and smooth, and then a 10-year-old Malmsey, deep, decadent and award-winning. After the visit at his wine lodge, we soon hit the road to explore some of Madeira's vineyards, a rich and varied wine route spread throughout the island. Interspersed by Sofia's fascinating and lively stories along the way, we went for a scenic route, driving from Funchal to Ribeira Brava. With this tour, apart from enjoying the wines, we also get the chance to see and ravish at the sceneries of this island, and Sofia has taken us through some really gorgeous parts of Madeira. We headed to Quinta Barbusano in São Vicente, this spectacular valley greeting us with such warmth, with this weather truly providing a wine tour with such generosity. This is our 2nd time in this vineyard, but this has given us a totally thorough perspective of Madeira's table and still wines. Barbusano runs a 12-hectare vineyard, a fraction of Madeira's total of 500 hectares of grape-growing autonomous region, including the island of Porto Santo. Our guide Gina walked us through the vineyards, planted in slopes and trellises, appreciating the hard-won efforts of the human hand at work here. The vineyards of Madeira can be both found on sea level and in mountainous altitude, and Barbusano belongs in the latter, albeit with a close proximity to the sea, which explains the wines we tasted later on, fresh, invigorating, with hints of the salty sea and minerality of the incredibly fertile volcanic soil. We tasted 6 different wines, 3 whites, mostly of Verdelho variety, the main grape of Barbusano, followed by distinctive and gastronomic rosé, and 2 elegant reds, the Touriga Nacional and Aragonês varieties. We are then treated to a really great lunch, some of the best we've had in the island, while the rest of the group had the classic Madeiran beef espetadas, or skewers. To taste another variety, we had bacalhau à la guerreiro style, that is codfish baked in the oven, drizzled with lots of olive oil, garlic and onion, a delicious traditional Portuguese dish that goes very well with the wines. We left Barbusano with full stomachs, happy taste buds and ready for our next wine stop. This Madeira wine tour isn't complete without sightseeing, and our next stop combines both, great wines and incredible scenery. We headed northwest of the island, to Seixal, in the municipality of Porto Muniz, going through a few tunnels dug deep through the mountains, cutting through much of the transport, getting to the other side of the island far quicker as compared to a decade ago, and there are apparently over 200 tunnels on this island. We even get to see and drive through the old roads before these tunnels existed. Soon we arrived in Terras do Avô, this winery with a beautiful terrace that's quite possibly one of the greatest sceneries in all of Madeira. Here we were welcomed by Duarte Caldeira and grandson Henrique. Terras do Avô is family owned, and it means grandfather's land, where the vineyards are planted, with grapes grown on 3.5 hectares across 32 plots. And the excellent wines they produce here are dedicated to Duarte's father. On this visit, we tasted 2 of their table wines, the white made of Verdelho Madeira and the red blend of mostly Touriga Nacional, Tinta Roriz and Syrah. The wines here are very expressive and aromatic, with lots of influence by the sea. thanks to the vineyards planted directly facing the ocean. It's also extraordinary that you can taste tropical fruits in the wine, with lots of minerality, especially the Verdelho, making it incredibly gastronomic. We enjoy the superb wines with a few dips and snacks, including the delicious pão recheado, or stuffed bread with cheese, chorizo and bacon, all made in this house. We stayed for a little while, soaking up the magnificence of this view of Seixal. It felt so surreal to be here, experiencing some of the best wines in Madeira with a jaw-dropping view to match. Then it was time to head to the final destination of our wine tour. We went back to the south side of the island in Cãmara de Lobos to visit Barbeito, considered the most avant-garde of all Madeira wine producers, one of the youngest brands in Madeira, founded in 1946, inherited from the Barbeito de Vasconcelos family, and until today produces fine wines with a prestigious international reputation. We learned that out of the many Madeira wine producers over 2 centuries, Barbeito is one of the 4 that remains in its original family, and is currently co-owned by the Japanese Kinoshita family. Ricardo Freitas, the winemaker and grandson of the original owner, is being hailed as a game-changer of Madeira wines, and the result are these stunning, sublime fortified wines, oozing with aromas and flavours. We were shown around by Leandro Gouveia, who reminded us that Barbeito aims to combine tradition with innovation, and this is apparent not only in the facilities, but the wines themselves. We tasted a 10-year Bois, aged in French oak, teeming with caramel, figs and spice, and then tasted the 5-year-old medium-dry rainwater, a style of Madeira wine produced as an accident, diluted with rain, resulting in a lighter wine, as opposed to intensely fortified Madeiras. And we tasted the Malvasia Candida, a personal favorite, from a very exclusive and small production in the entire island, one of the best Madeira wines you'll ever taste, as our sommelier Salvador agrees, richly layered with sumptuous flavors on the sweeter side, but still gifted with striking acidity. We finished our tasting here, certainly on a high note. And here our wine tour comes to a conclusion, and we didn't want this to end. What a remarkable day, exploring, learning and appreciating some of the best wines Madeira has to offer. And this tour wouldn't be the same without the fantastic Sofia, who truly made us see and discover Madeira with the most authentic perspective. Thank you Madeira Wine Tours for such a glorious expedition, and for helping us understand how vital winemaking is to the lifeblood of this island. After this fantastic tours, we fancied catching a break, enjoying the sun and the sea, and since we've been mostly on land, it was a high time to embrace the waves and sail to the ocean. The next day, we headed to Funchal Marina to catch a boat that provided another angle on this island, that is, from a sea perspective. We avoided these big catamarans to avoid huge crowds and preferred a smaller yacht, providing a more intimate, private feel to our cruise in the stunning ocean. As soon as we embarked in the sea, we were already in such great spirits. The combination of this perfect weather, the sun on our skin, and the sparkling sea drew huge smiles on our faces. And without a doubt, Madeira Island looks even more phenomenal viewed from this side of the boat. We chose Gavião Madeira, which provided a 3-hour cruise on the south coast, heading from Funchal to Cãmara de Lobos, watching dolphins along the way and including a stopover at Cabo Girão for a good refreshing swim in the sea. And before we knew it, bottlenose dolphins began emerging from the ocean, and we saw quite a few, perhaps a school of them. It was a joy to see and observe this species just swimming around in a natural habitat, and there is as much richness of fauna underwater as there is on land. We were told that observations of marine life are only allowed 15 minutes per visit, which is perfectly reasonable as to not disturb the nature reserve underneath these waters. Then it was time to sail to Cabo Girão, known to be the highest sea cliff in Europe, the second highest in the world, a cliff that plunges straight to the ocean. And it turns out, this location is a great place to swim too, and we certainly couldn't resist the temptation. We had to plunge into these warm waters and enjoy a wonderful dip in the sea. Later, when we all swam in content, we sailed back to Funchal, our hearts full of joy and satisfaction. To make the most of the day in this exquisite sunshine. After our boat trip, we checked out the seafront pools that are a rage in Madeira. Natural pools are a thing on this island, and your Madeira trip isn't complete without swimming in at least one. There's the massive saltwater pools at Lido, but my favorite might be the natural ocean pools of Doca do Cavacas, just right next to Formosa Beach. This place is smaller but prettier, with a rough-hewn look to it, where you will experience pools from volcanic nature, which explains the lava-like formations of the rocks, and it has direct access to the sea. Beware, this place is popular, and during the summer months, arrive early and you'll secure a good spot. We had a great time here, sunbathing and swimming in the pool and the sea, and I must say, this place is quite a little spectacle with its white painted rocks against a deep blue ocean in the background. Throughout our remaining time in Madeira, we explore the island by ourselves. We rented a car through Discover Cars and hit the road, driving around the island, going to places both familiar and new. We went back to Seixal, on the north coast of the island, where true Madeira landscape is so preserved like an amber. Seixal is a remarkable vision, where a marvelous seascape is backed with vertiginous mountains plunging right down to the ocean. And I get why people say that Madeira is the Hawaii of Europe. It's precisely because of this, the spectacular panorama of unadulterated slice of nature. This place is home to Seixal Beach, considered one of the most beautiful beaches in Europe, with its stark black volcanic sand and crystal clear waters. We didn't want to miss the opportunity to visit this beach and even go for a swim. As you can see, it's popular, and people do venture out to get here to the side of the island. Here you can also take a dip in the natural sea pools, or even grab a bite at Club Naval de Seixal for a good snack with an ocean scenery. And since we're here, we made another visit to the winemaker Terras to understand further their place in Madeira, beyond their quality wines and this magnificent view. We were graciously received by Sofia, the daughter of Yacht, who also works full-time in the company. We understood from our previous visit that his family company started in 2008 and have been producing ever since remarkable white and red wines, and a rosé in between. But in 2014, everything changed. Terras produced the first sparkling wine, the first ever sparkling wine produced in Madeira. In an island that's closely embedded in Madeira fortified wine tradition, we were very curious about this wine producer that championed innovation and produced not just a really unique sparkling wine, but an award-winning one too.
In our minds, the Verdelho have the potential to be a good sparkling. In the harvest from 2014, we separate a part for the sparkling, and we start to make the first experiment. How my father and my mother made the 50 years of marriage in 2016, I said to my father, why we don't start with the sparklings to see? And we start in 2016, the first came to the market. It was good, everybody said, oh, it's good. But we know we need more time using the classic or the traditional method, the champenoise. Everything made by hand, à la volée. The remoage, the gorgement, everything is made by hand. In that time, in the first time, some people from a newspaper in Portugal, they said, you need to go to the contest, international contest, because you have a very good product. In our mind, we didn't know because we don't have that experience. We go to the Brut experience in Portugal, it's an international contest, and we won the gold medal. 3 years, with the same sparkling, for 3 years we go, and all the 3 years the gold medal. And we decided, yes, it was the only sparkling with the 3 gold medals, 3 years consecutive.
Yeah, consecutive.
Yes.
Creativity takes a certain amount of audacity to respect tradition, but to also create something new. And for Sofia, it takes a whole new perspective from the outside world to recognize that Madeira is capable of innovation.
We are very famous with our sparkling. It's very nice for us because here in Madeira, a lot of people don't believe in the products from Madeira. But how we are recognized, very recognized outside. Now everybody recognize our products as good products from Madeira. Table wines or still wines in Madeira are very new comparing with the Madeira wine. Still wine came to the market in 1992. Comparing with Madeira fortified wine are young wines. When the Portuguese discovered the island, they brought with them the vineyards 600 years ago, and they start to produce Madeira wine in that time. But I think we are on the good way. Our wines are in some Michelin star restaurants in Lisbon and Oporto. That it means they have quality.
Absolutely.
Yes, we choose very well the grapes. The quality is our first goal. How we only use good grapes, we could have a good wine.
Further on, we had a wonderful conversation with Sofia, tasting more of the wine portfolio, learning about the real hard work and manual labor that goes behind the production of these wines. After all, everything here is handcrafted and done in the old-fashioned way, which makes the wine here truly special and done with a love of winemaking. We were very grateful to be received here so warmly and learned so much about the necessary creativity to brew something new in this island. Speaking of innovation and new ideas, we pursue the dramatic northern coastline further, through the municipality of São Vicente, to visit a place that's the stuff of dreams and imagination. Hidden within the lush valley of Boaventura, beneath the rugged mountainous peaks cloaked with the Lourisilva forest, is a sublime secluded retreat surrounded with nothing but nature, that astonishing green landscape and the hum of the sea beyond. This place, a once abandoned property and vineyard, feels like a snapshot of the past, of a simpler, purer time, but is now transformed into a wellness retreat, capturing the mind, body and soul. This is Terrabona, a sanctuary surrounded with nature and vineyards. And coming here is an experience unlike any other. The owners Marco and Maria welcomed us to their property with such remarkable openness, sharing to us the story and the soul of their passion project. How these two former bankers found this piece of paradise, previously named Quinta do Cardo, and transformed it into a romantic luxury escape, where tranquility and privacy are of the utmost priority. Where elegant and beautiful self-catering suites are tucked harmoniously into the terraced vineyards. The couple also turned the existing vineyards into a small wine production, now known as the Unlikely Wines of Madeira, born from the concepts of adaptation and innovation, committed to producing small quantity but of high quality wines, drawn primarily from the German Arnsberger grape variety and Verdelho for Madeira. Today, Terrabona is the biggest producer of the Arnsberger variety in Madeira. We tasted some of their wines, and they're nothing short of excellent in gastronomy. From the family harvest to the Tres Famílias, they showcase these fresh Atlantic wines with floral notes and hints of tropical fruits. And we even get to taste a wine that's aged in clay. But the true standout for me is a Terrabona White, aged in French oak, a sumptuous, complex and elegant wine bursting with flavors and depth. Marco insists that wines here do not stand on their own, but rather complement the whole concept of Terrabona, where wine is savoured and enjoyed in this tranquil environment, where the grapes are sown and harvested, and simply being wrapped up in this restful, wholesome slice of nature. Terrabona feels like a beautiful paradox, that being here feels like being suspended in a distant time, but one that's surrounded by modern comforts in a luxurious setting. It's a beautiful, redemptive example that the past and present can exist alongside holistically together, all at one with nature. And above all, this place proves that Madeira can glorify in the richness of its past, but it's ideas like this that makes it also capable of facing the future. Here's another fascinating thing about Madeira. I find that the landscapes in this island often reflect the landscapes of the mind. While Madeira is temperate, predominantly sunny and warm throughout the time we've been here, the subtropical island is also susceptible to changing weather. After all, it has the Atlantic climate to deal with. We spent the rest of our time here exploring other sides of the island, and the weather pirouettes from radiantly sunny to foggy to rainy and back to sunshine again. Often we would stop in roadside cafes and viewpoints with smiles on our faces and just embrace whatever weather that's coming our way. And speaking of landscapes, there's one place that really stood out from the rest of the island. A stark, ruthless contrast from the verdant parts of Madeira. We had to go to the eastern extremity to witness this place, this volcanic peninsula that juts out of the ocean, exposed to the harshest Atlantic conditions, making this place arid and almost out of this world. This is Ponta de São Lourenço, a rather desolate and intriguingly bleak part of the island, but it's undoubtedly stunning. You can hike here round trip for 8 kilometers, and we walk not even halfway through, but the views here are otherworldly, as if you're treading another planet with red and ochre colors of the earth, where no trees dare to grow. I find the hike here very introspective, and it's surprisingly a perfect place to walk your worries away, in the stillness of the mind, the desolate beauty of this coastline, its dramatic peaks and curves, and the sight of waves crashing in the rocks below makes for a fitting place to meditate, to reflect how vital life is. It's worth noting that this part of the island is both a geological and ecological reserve, reminding us that there is life here, despite its aridity. There are rare plants and seabirds that all thrive in these islets, glimmers of life worth protecting and preserving. And in stark contrast, we went back to where life is. We headed to the other side of the island to experience two places that are much talked about in Madeira. First is Cãmara de Lobos, the small fishing village in the south coast, famed for being inhabited by the Portuguese navigator João Gonçalves Zarco, who landed in this island along with Tristão Vaz Teixeira. The Cãmara de Lobos Bay is also significant for being the bay that one Winston Churchill immortalized in painting in January of 1950. We walked around here admiring the small village and even tasted a rather surprising local beer made from bananas. Banana is produced so much in this island that the main beer brewing company in Madeira produces banana beer made of wheat and banana, and it actually tastes really good. It's unfiltered and unpasteurized and so refreshing, and we're having it in a cafe called Minerva in a rather small yet famous historic fishing village called Cãmara de Lobos. Since the weather has become misty in this part of the island, we moved further on. And as soon as we were on the other side of Cabo Girão, the clouds parted and the weather became immensely better, signifying good things to come. We went to a place known for its sunshine, and it literally means point of the sun. This is Ponta de Sol. Apparently this charming coastal village enjoys the most amount of sunshine per year and is known as the sunniest municipality in the island. It's clearly a popular place, with a pretty village and a picturesque promenade, while you find plenty of sunbathers on the pebble beach, soaking up and enjoying the glorious weather here. And this is exactly what we came here for. Our journey in Madeira ends here, in this spot, a rather beautiful place worth being emblazoned in a postcard. We soaked up as much sun as we could, enjoyed swimming in the sea and just being washed over with the sounds of the waves and gazing out on these incredible coastal views. We stayed on to watch the sunset, this scintillating vision unlike any other, reflecting on all the most extraordinary time we've had on the island. Everything we've done in Madeira is about celebrating life, and we came to this island to be at our friend's wedding, to witness a celebration of love and matrimony on this most beautiful day we can ever imagine. I attended my first ever Portuguese wedding here in Madeira, and in true Madeirense fashion, a lot of fun and dancing. We sure danced the night away, but we also got to witness a true Madeira custom and cultural tradition, a piece of Madeiran folk singing and dancing, the Bailinho de Madeira. The whole wedding was truly beautiful and something worth preserving in our memories. Throughout our stay in this magnificent island, throughout our journey in Madeira, we met and encountered a few wonderful people here, locals and residents of this place who truly made us feel welcome in this island, their home. So I ask what Madeira means to them.
Madeira is home, and so this is where I've spread my roots and stretched my branches.
I love Madeira. Madeira is a place, a nice place to live. I love to live here. I don't imagine to live anywhere.
It's a unique island. It's all this dramatic landscape. There's green all over the island, and then this azure ocean, this Atlantic that imposes to you. Gives you a sensation of space and of freedom.
Is also a really strong connection to nature.
This nature, these sounds of the birds, the water, and this pure air that we can breathe.
Madeira, it's a small island. Well, for us, it's a small family, and it's very beautiful because we have a natural, very beautiful, and our Laurus forest, I think it's the best thing we have here, and the sea. I think it's a beautiful island to come.
Nature, amazing nature everywhere, very friendly people. I loved raising my kids here. I wouldn't want to do it anywhere else. Definitely one of the safest environments I ever seen.
I think it's a very nice island. We have here a good level of life. We can go to the beach, we can go to the mountain in the same day, in 5 minutes you are on the sea, 5 minutes later you are in a big mountain.
Go up to the Pico do Arieiro, Pico Ruivo, do a Levada walk. You can go to the north or east coast and experience all the different scenery that you have.
The weather is amazing, sometimes too much so. It's never too cold, it's never too hot. It's always sort of mid-range. When it rains, it really rains, but usually not for whole days.
The wines are also part of it because they're so much part of our culture. All the blending and the mixing and the aging and the staying, then becoming fantastic.
You need to come and experience yourself and visit and see what your perspective will be of that.
It is a magical place, a really magical place.
Madeira, for me, it is life.
During this trip, traces of Madeira's essence and soul glimmered in all the experiences we've had. And while my subjective perspective tried to pin down the meaning of this place, I doubt I could say it any better than the people who actually live, embody, and sustain with this island's energy every single day. And here's from someone who visited here and experienced Madeira for the very first time. I would do this all over again in a heartbeat. Even for a brief time, Madeira captured and captivated my senses. It's an island that made me feel so alive, and that's no overstatement. Every single thing we've done on this island has put the wind in our sails, smiles in our faces, and happiness in our souls. We created our own memories and connections to this place, moments I will personally treasure for as long as I live. Madeira is yours and ours to experience, but let's not take it for granted. I know deep in my bones that this experience will never repeat the same way again, just the same way as there will never be another Madeira. And that's the beauty of it. There will never be an island as unique as this. So tell me, in this short time we have in his life, when are you finally going to experience Madeira?